Alright guys, here I am in my map. I've literally just loaded it up. So here is the radio that we've added. E to activate radio, or if I grab my controller it will say X. Press E. This is a test. Plays all nice. Trigger activated. Sound plays. Can't activate it anymore. Trigger's been deleted. Alright, how's it going guys? In today's video I'm going to be covering how a trigger can play sound in Black Ops 3 mod tools. So it can be useful for like radios and Easter eggs and things like that if you want to add them to your map, just to give them a bit of vibrance and just to make them stand out a bit more. So we're going to start with Radiant. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a table so we can put radio on, just to make it look like the sound is actually coming from somewhere. So I'm just going to drag this in. So I'm just here on my test map. As you can see, this is the spawn room, and I've just got some zombies spawning up there. These are traversals, you don't need to worry about that kind of thing. You can see this is my test map because here I'm just testing one of my scripts, which is basically picking up a pickaxe and breaking a wall with using one of these triggers, and then the game deletes one of those triggers, and then this trigger in the middle spawns in, and that trigger is to pick up money from inside the wall. So that I might do that for another tutorial video, but this is basically just a very basic very basic way of explaining how to make sound play in Black Ops 3 custom zombies for your map. Alright, so we're going to start with adding this table to put a radio on. And I'm just going to grab in a radio here, so you probably have this one, so just drag this on. I'm going to use Shift D to rotate the model, just to be facing this way. Going to bring it right to the edge here. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to press N to bring up the entity info, and I'm going to remap the class from a MISC model. Type in here script, and you want to make sure you press script model. Basically what a script model is, it's different to a MISC model because you can actually script it. If you're making like a brush instead of a model with the textures, then use a script underscore brush model. But today we're going to be using a script underscore model. So here we're converting, the model is converted, if you see here. I'm just selecting it, and you can see in the entity info this is now a script underscore model. So we can now script it, give it a target name and stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select it and give it the target name. What should we call it? I'll just call it radio on table. We'll add an underscore between each space. Right. So now we've got this. This is where we're actually going to be playing the sound from. Okay, so the next thing is what we're going to want to do is go over to our entity browser, and we're going to go to trigger, and we're going to just drag in a trigger use. Now what I've done is I've actually toggled this as a favorite, so I can right click and just go trigger use. Basically all I've done is just right click here and toggle favorite, so it's much easier for me to drag these kind of things in. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zoom in on my grid camera and just make the trigger a bit bigger. I'm going to press Control Tab to change the view. I'm going to bring it down a little bit, and then I'm going to press N to bring up the entity info, and I'm going to give it the target name. So this what I usually do is I look at the target name of this one, so radio underscore on underscore table. Go back to the trigger, give it the target name radio underscore on underscore table underscore trig. Now what I'm actually going to do, which actually just helps me a bit more, I'm going to rename this underscore model, just to help me know that this is the actual model and this is the trigger. Okay, so once we've done this, we've basically done everything in Radiant. I'm going to just press T to bring up my textures. I'm going to drag a brush model across here just to give it a clip, so that the character can't walk through it, the player. Just bring it up a bit. Alright, so here we go. We're going to want to make sure it's far back enough so the trigger is sticking out so the player can actually activate it. And that's it. That's everything in Radiant. That's literally all you need to do. It's very simple. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the Black Ops 3 Mod Tools launcher. I'm going to right click my test map, which is this right here. Open the map folder. I'm going to go to scripts, ZM, and then go to your GSC. Yeah. Right, so here you go. Here you can see all my scripts that I've added, which isn't many because I've just started learning GSC scripting. but I've actually commented out the script that is used to add in the radio sound. Alright, so what we're going to start doing is we're going to start making a function. So basically what a function is the game can call it at any time. We're going to call it, if we add it right here, the game is going to call it, but we're going to do that after we've made the function, because we don't actually know the name to call it. So we're going to call it function, and then we'll give it a name. We'll give it the name play radio. Play radio, yeah. Call it play radio. I'm going to add in 2 of these brackets here. And then we're going to press enter. And then we're going to add in these squiggly brackets and then press enter again. So here is, we've made a function. That is a function, but we haven't actually put anything inside it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by calling the entity. Or the 2 entities, I should say. So the 2 entities we have, if we have a look in Radiant again, we have the trigger here. We're going to press enter to go to the entity info. We have the target name, radio underscore on underscore table. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go back to our Sublime. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is we want to assign a variable name to the entity of the use trigger and the model. So if you're a bit confused, it's very simple, don't worry. Basically, this is being done so the game can look for the entity and acknowledge that it kind of just exists. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paste the name of it, of the trigger. So radio underscore on underscore table underscore trig. I'm going to type in equals get ent. So here we're saying, okay, so we want to get an entity in our map. And we're going to give it, we're going to add brackets and then quotations. So this is basically giving it a parameter. And we're going to want to type in the same thing, the trigger here. So we typed in the trigger. Okay, so after we've typed in the trigger, we want to add a comma, space, another set of quotations, target name. And what we're doing is we are asking a game to get the entity, look for this target name in an entity, and then assign it to this variable. So these two are the same. For simplicity's sake, I just like it because it's easier to remember. We could change this to whatever, but I'm just going to keep it the same so that it doesn't confuse me. So we just use this to call it later on in the function. Okay, next thing we're going to add is the model. So if we look back in Radiant, what do we call the model, the target name? Call it radio underscore on underscore table underscore model. So I'm going to copy that, go back to my GSC. I'm just going to paste that in. Equals, we're doing the same thing here. Get ent, brackets, quotations. Use the target name here. That's the target name in Radiant. Comma, more quotations, target name. So again, it's looking for a target name with that target name in Radiant. And then it's going to assign it to that variable. And we also want to make sure we're adding semicolons to the end of these, so it can basically just continue on to the next line. Otherwise you're going to be getting errors, so make sure you use these semicolons. Okay, next what we're going to do is we're going to set, right here you can see I'm setting the hint string. So what this is doing is it's basically going to say press something to activate the radio. You could make this nothing, I'm pretty sure. But for this video, I'm just going to make it so that it has a trigger, just so we make sure it's all functional. But we can remove it later. But we just have to make this a hint none, I'm pretty sure. But if that doesn't work, then just keep it as no icon, because we know that works. Right, okay, so next thing is type in the trigger variable. So basically just, in my case, it's this, radio underscore on underscore table underscore trig. Type in set hint string. So again, this is what it's going to display in game when you go up to the trigger. Going to give brackets and then quotations. I'm going to type in press and one. So what this and one does is it gets the input of whatever the user is using. So in my case, it's going to be keyboard and mouse, and it's going to say press whatever the user's interact button is, key, So if you're on Xbox controller, it'll say X. If you're on PC, it'll say F or E or whatever you use. And then we're going to type in the rest, activate radio. Okay, so the next thing is we're going to be setting the cursor hint. So this is going to be either having a hand on it, like a little hand icon, or just having no hand and just showing this right here. So we're going to be typing in the same thing, radio underscore on underscore table underscore trig, set cursor hint. I'm going to use brackets and quotations, hint underscore no icon and the semicolon. Right. Okay, now we've done that. All we're going to be doing is typing in this again. And now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be telling the game to wait till the trigger is activated by, no, we don't use quotations here, by the player. So what this is doing is the trigger is going to wait until it's activated by a player to do the next part of the function. So the next part of the function, what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in a line just to make sure we know it's working, saying, so we're going to use I print line bold. You don't have to do this, but I'm just going to do this to make sure that the trigger is working. And then we're going to type in bracket, quotation, trigger activated, just so we know that the trigger's been activated. Okay, next is playing the sound on an entity. So now we're going to be calling this variable right here, which is why we got the entity from the model in game. And we're going to be playing a sound through that model. So we're going to be calling it right here. Oh, we need to make sure we put a semicolon. See, I always forget because I never did GSC scripting before Black Ops 3 mod tools. So in Python, which is what I knew before this, you never had to use semicolons, but in this one you have to use semicolons after you do these kind of things in the functions. So, okay, the next thing is playing the sound, right? Radio, we're going to be calling in that variable that we typed in earlier, radio on table model. I'm going to type in play sound, open bracket, quotation, and here's where we're going to be using the alias name, which is in your user alias. So we're going to type in my case, it's going to be radio underscore audio, but I'll go into more detail with that in just a second after we've completed the scripting. Last but not least, we're going to be deleting the trigger from the map so you can't, activate it again or whatever. So I'm going to type in radio on table trig. And we're just going to type in delete. Oh, semicolon at the end, and there we go. So what this is going to do is just going to delete this. Okay, so after we've done this, we're going to want to call this function from inside the main function. So we copy this. We're going to scroll back up to the main function. We're going to go to after this, press enter. So you're not going to have this stuff here. This basically just changes my start points and just calls some other functions. So we're going to type in thread and then whatever the function name was, end with a semicolon. So what this is going to do is it's going to basically call the function to make sure it works when the map is loaded up. Alright, so we're going to save this and we're going to head over to our user alias, which is going to be for the sounds. So what we're going to want to do is go to our Black Ops 3 Mod Tools launcher, go back to the map folder, I'm going to go back to the root folder, I'm going to go share, raw, sound, aliases, and you're probably not going to have as many aliases as I have here, or you might do, I don't know. But you're going to want to go to the user alias that your map is using. So if you want to check what alias your map is using, you just open the map folder again, go to sound, zone config, and then open this file here. And right, you can see my map is using user underscore aliases. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave down in the description basically a template for this, for what you're going to be putting inside your user alias. So which is right here. So you're going to want to open this up, and basically mine has nothing in it. What you're going to want to do is you're just going to want to press enter and paste in the alias that I have down in the description. Okay, so once you've pasted it in, you'll see it says radio_audio, and then it's going to be looking for the file in test, and then radioaudio.wav. So this radio audio, this file right here, is going to be whatever you want to be played out of the radio. So in my case, it's just going to be me blabbling on about something or other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Audacity, and I'm just going to record something right here. I'm just going to record something that's going to be implemented into the game. This is a test. Okay, there we go. So we're going to want to change the project rate to 48,000 so that the game can basically recognize it. Export the audio, and you're just going to want to save it. You know, we're going to call it radio audio. That's what you're going to want to call it. I've already got one saved in here, so I'm just going to call it radio audio 1 for now. You're going to want to make sure nothing is included in the metadata. I always press clear just in case so that nothing's in there. Press OK. There you go. Okay, now we can close Audacity. Okay, so we're going to want to go back to our root folder. So we do this by right click, open map folder, go back to Black Ops 3. Then we're going to want to go to sound assets. Going to want to make sure you've got a test folder, or you can put your sound anywhere, but if you do change it, then you're going to want to change this to wherever it is. So in this case, it's going to be looking in test. So we go into test, and it's going to be looking for radio_audio.wav. So I'm just going to get my radio audio, which is right here, and rename it back to just radio audio so the game can read it. Nope. There we go. Okay. So now we've got our little audio clip right here. Just opened it up. This is a test. Okay, so it's not going to be that loud because I didn't record it to be that close to my mouth. But here you can see it's 3D. It's non-looping, and you can open this this file right here in, if we right click here and just open container folder in Explorer, you can right click and you can use different programs to read these files better. So OpenOffice, Calc, or Excel. I like to use this one. This OpenOffice is free and anyone can use it. It's simple. Alright, so after we've done this, we're going to want to make sure this radio audio is what it's reading in our script. So we can see play sound radio audio. What this is going to do, play sound is going to look in your user alias, and radio audio is going to look for this in your user alias. So it's going to read, okay, this one, not radio audio, this one is. So we're going to go to test, radio audio, and play this sound. So we just save. And once we saved, it's all good. We can close this. Okay, so I believe that should be it. We're just going to want to make sure it's all saved. Close out this. Link, compile. Oh, we want to make sure our map is saved as well after we've done all these changes. So link, compile, build. I'm just going to want to wait for this to be done. Alright guys, here I am in my map. I've literally just loaded it up. So here is the radio that we've added. E to activate radio, or if I grab my controller it will say X. Press E. This is a test. Plays all nice. Trigger activated. Sound plays. Can't activate it anymore. Trigger's been deleted. Alright, so if you guys enjoyed the video, then maybe I'll do future tutorials. What I've done for this one is I've basically just tried to keep it as basic but as explaining as possible, so I can explain what everything does. That's why it's kind of long and a bit longer than other tutorials might be. I want you guys to try and understand how things work, so you can do it in the future for other things like, I don't know, implementing adding sounds to other scripts, like when you pick up something and, you know, break a wall and it makes a nice noise and you can grab the money. Now, I think it would be cool if you guys actually, you know, understood if you didn't before. Hopefully this video helped. And yeah, I might go into other things, like how to add this to other scripts. In fact, yeah, that's what I'm going to do now. I'll see you guys later. I'm just going to show you quickly how to add this to, say, build power script. And yeah, you can, you know, add whatever sound you want to pick up. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm just going to open up my other map that I'm working on right now. So I'm going to open the map folder and just show you my GSC, just to show you the scripts I've got in there and how I've added sound to different things. So I'm just going to open up my mapname.gsc here. Alright, so once this is loaded up, I'll just show you what I've done. Okay, so let's say you've added in the build power function, or not function, build power to your map, and you've added this to your mapname.gsc, but you want to add a sound that isn't there. So what I've done is I've looked at this. So this is the entity that the script uses. So I'm just going to take this variable here and I'm going to look for the wait till trigger player for the pickup part 1, and then I just press enter, type in the variable name, play sound, pick up whatever your sound is in your alias. So in this case it was the sound of picking up a fuse from Shadows of Evil, and then just add a semicolon and do it to the other one as well. And what that does is it basically just adds a nice little sound to picking up parts. And that's literally what I've done for another script that I've made myself. Not saying I made that script, that was someone else's script, but this script that I made myself here, this wall break, what I've done is picking up the pickaxe, what it does is it plays a sound and it deletes the model and the trigger, so it looks like you've picked it up, and then after that it calls another function. Anyway, that's for another video, but that's just if you want to add sound to any script. You just get the entity name that you've assigned to a variable. So I'll just, if I can find it, where is it? Here. So if you just literally just get an entity here, space, play sound, and then your sound name, and what that'll do is you'll just play a 3D sound coming from that entity right there in game. So yeah, you can add this line here to basically anything, any script that you have and you want to add sound to. If it sounds a bit bland, or if it doesn't, if it's your script is a bit bland, you can add a nice pickup sound. Or maybe you're trying to script like a music Easter egg, you can add a sound to when you know, activate a trigger or something like that. So yeah, this is just showing you guys that you can add sound to anything, any script. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, this tutorial. This is the first time I've done this. I've tried to go really in depth and try to explain everything as much as I can, so you guys can use this to your full advantage and kind of add this to your own scripts if you're trying to learn how to script or whatever. I just want to shout out IceGrenade. I'm actually going to leave his playlist to his GSC scripting tutorial series down below if you guys want to go check that out, because I highly recommend this. His series is where I've learned how to GSC script. I mean, I have before this had no prior experience to, you know, Call of Duty Zombies scripting. I had very minimal scripting experience in Python, and that's it from my college course. So I'd highly recommend you guys go check that out if you want to learn how to script in the language that the game uses. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Sorry that it's a bit longer. I just wanted to try and explain everything as best I could so you guys can understand. But yeah, shout out to IceGrenade. Go check out his channel if you want to learn how to do scripting a lot better and learn how to play effects and, you know, do much cooler things, I guess. But this is a very kind of a very in-depth tutorial on how to add sound, just in case, because I remember when, you know, I had no idea how to do this kind of thing. But after watching IceGrenade's tutorial, I understand fully, and I just want to try and explain to my full ability how sound works in Black Ops 3. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this, then let me know in the comments. If you need any help with anything, I'll try my absolute best, but I can't guarantee anything because I'm not a professional scripter. I'm not very good, but if you have any issues, just leave them down in the comments, but I'll try to answer them. If I just simply can't answer it, then I'm just going to say that I don't know, but basic errors I can help with. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, just leave a like, and I'll see you guys around. Peace.